Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Appreciate you being here today. I appreciate your frank testimony. And I'm going to try to go over some ground that's been covered without plowing it too much deeper. But please help me understand, what's Rod Rosenstein's role at the department right now?
The Department of Justice has a number of key positions. The Deputy Attorney General has supervisory control responsibility for all of our investigative agencies, and basically the entire department. The associate handles a part of that, and the associate reports through the deputy to the Attorney General, and the deputy, the FBI director, for example, reports through to the deputy, not directly to the Attorney General.
Okay, and so what's Andrew McCabe's responsibility and role?
I think he's classified as a number 2 guy at the FBI.
Okay.
And
in their positions, for instance, when Mr. Comey's position was terminated, Mr. McCabe was acting director, I think, for a period of time until a new director was nominated. And Mr. Rosenstein's been serving with you and had served previously. Was anything done to question or vet any potential conflicts those two gentlemen might have had with things like the Mueller investigation, with Russian investigation, or anything like that?
It's a responsibility, I guess, of a person involved in an investigation to be sure that nothing they do has a conflict of interest or that should require recusal.
So I appreciate that that's an individual responsibility, but so I guess nothing formally or from the department was done to vet and say, you know, we've got this going on. There's potential questions, particularly with regard to Mr. Rosenstein, Mr. McCabe's roles all the way back to the Fusion 1 investigations and continuing on for that period of 10 years. I suppose, if I understand you correctly, there was nothing done there to formally to vet them.
I think I understand you correctly, and I think that's correct.
Okay. And I know that you've answered this, so I'm going to go very quickly with these. With regard to the Fusion GPS dossier, it's been reported widely in the media that the FBI at least paid for some portion of it or reimbursed some expenses for that document. Do you know whether that's accurate or not, accurate reporting in the media?
I do not.
And I guess it's also been widely reported in the media that the FBI at some point reviewed that dossier, particularly under Mr. Comey. So do you know if that ever occurred?
I'm not able to comment on that.
Okay. When you say you're not able to comment, that means...
Well, I don't...
you may not know, or there's investigation?
I have not been involved in that investigation, and I don't even read the newspapers that closely.
Good for you, I must say. And then we had an exchange earlier today with you and the representative from Ohio, the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan, and he said, seems like this, it seems like that, it seems like this. And at the end of that, you made a comment, and I can only paraphrase because I didn't write down the exact comment. My note just says, seems like. You were saying, well, that you can't base a case on something that seems like something. But in essence, the very notion of probable cause indicates that something seems like something, and it seems like that person probably committed that act, which seems like it's in violation of the law. And so I guess I'm trying to get clarification of that.
This Congress has a right to ask for information, and has a right to express its opinion about whether a special counsel should be appointed, but it's my responsibility to evaluate it. And I would have to feel, or in some cases the deputy would have to feel, that they're the kind of circumstances that would justify. And we just have to know that, I want you all to know, that if a special counsel is required, I, or I'm sure anyone else in the department would, that had the responsibility would name one. If not, we have to say it is not required. I would say that our department, with Chris Ray at the FBI and our team at the Department of Justice, I feel like we can do work, but there are some cases that get so significant and have such a level that becomes a public interest question that has to be evaluated. So I have no prejudgment, and
Sure.
Reason I hope you'll give me, the chairman might have to give you a second. I did not mean to suggest I was taking a side one way or the other on that subject. I was simply responding that we would have to have full and effective and detailed factual evaluation before we make a decision on whether or not a special counsel is required.
And
I take no, I'm not, I have made no prejudgment.
And I appreciate that, but I guess what I'm getting at in particular is that so even with the idea that many people are questioning the impartiality of Mr. Rosenstein, who would be ostensibly in line to help make that decision on special counsel?
I'm not aware that he has a problem in that regard, but if so, we have senior counsels in the department who would give advice on that. So and we all have to be sure that we're not crossing that line.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me.
The chair recognizes the